that you have your requirements set up, what you'll need to do is restart your computer and we'll continue from there. So from here, what we assume is that you already have the Rust compiler, the cargo, and you have VS Code installed. So to check if you actually have these installed, then just go to the terminal that you have for your computer. On Windows, I'll be using command prompt. On Linux, it could be the terminal, same for macOS. You just type this command rustc. If you have some sort of output like this, starting from the usage of rustc and giving some descriptions of various commands, then you have Rust installed. If you do not, then please let me know via my email. I can help you all get it set up. Next, we'll be checking out to see if we have cargo. And if you run cargo and you get similar output with some commands and the explanations, then you have it installed. Apart from that, we won't really need anything else. The only thing you may need for this course is a stable internet connection in any case where you need to do a Google search on understanding some few concepts, because I'll let you know now that I will not be able to explain every single thing on programming with Rust, so you might get some of these resources while searching on the web. Now, continuing from here, we now know that we have Rust and cargo installed on our computer. What we'll be going to do next is set up our development space, and that will be where we'll be writing our code. So on my computer, I'll be heading over to my personal folder, and under this I'll go towards VS Code or towards my source code, and I'll create a specific folder meant only for this course, and let's name it programming with Rust. Now in this folder, I like that while we are going through this course, you'll be doing the same thing that I do. So in this folder, what we'll be doing is for each video we're going to be going through, we're going to have a specific folder, or we could group the folders for 1 to 3 videos. So the first thing we'll be doing is a hello world program in Rust, and the requirement for that is to just create a folder. Let's just name it hello Rust, and to have a structured naming pattern, we should give an ex01 before this. The next video will be ex02, next will be ex03, and so on. So once we have this set up, we now go to VS Code, which you can open by double clicking here or however method you have for your PC, and you click on open folder. Once you click on the open folder, you now navigate to where you have your folder for each course, and for this we'll be using ex01 hello Rust. Once the folder is selected, you have your space selected on VS Code, and this is where we'll be working for this course, for this video, sorry. Now, Rust is a compiled language, that's why we needed a Rust compiler. And when we talk of a compiled language, we mean one that bundles our whole application, all the source code, every program that we write, and every link that our application has to other libraries. Once it bundles this, we have this as one file or a bunch of files all built together, which we can now run. So you have to compile first. You need to get everything put in place together as maybe one or a few bundles or more, and then once that is complete, you run. So I'll be providing resources on how to understand how compiled languages and other types of languages are, because I'll not be able to provide those details myself. And the first thing we'll be doing is creating a basic file for this application. So the basic file is, just name it main.rs. When creating a file in Rust, the rs extension is used to represent that this is a Rust file, the source code for Rust, and the name of this file is main extension.rs. Once that is complete, you press enter, and you have some pop-ups come up here that show that we have some extensions that are not enabled, that are enabled for Rust. Just going to close that, and we'll go ahead with what we're doing. With our file created, we see that we have a small indication here, which is a Rust icon on VS Code to show that this is a Rust file. So we're going to go into writing a basic application, and we're just going to go ahead, prepare this out. Let's keep it simple. Hello Rust. Alright, so if you've worked with any programming language before, I think you may have seen our basic Hello World programs in those languages. In Rust, this is how we write a Hello World program, and for those who have never done this before, this is like a de facto standard for starting up a new programming language. So you write a basic application that prints Hello World. In our case, we'll be saying Hello Rust. Now, I'm just going to compile this, run it, and explain some few things about this. To compile this, we'll be using the Rust compiler for now, which we access by using Rust C. We'll provide the name of the file with the extension. So Rust C main rs. When you press enter, if you look at this left bar here, we have a new file created, a main.exe file. So if you installed programs before, while installing Rust on Windows, for example, we may have seen that we had Rust up init.exe. Whenever we compile a Rust file, we get an executable file we can run. To run the executable file, all we just need to do is either open it by double clicking on the file folder, or we can run it via the terminal. But before we go ahead, let's explain what this whole program means. So first of all, what we have here is a main function. For every program that we need to write in Rust, we need to have a function called main, which is an entry point or a starting point for the entire application. So if you do not have this, your program will not be able to run, especially as an application. Going further, we're going to have differences explained between an application and a library. But for now, you just need to know that for every application in Rust, you must have this main function. In our main function, we know that this is the function because of the fn we have here, which is a short word for function. So we know that we have created a function called main. Now in the body of this function, which starts from here, the opening curly braces to the closing one, we have one line, print with an exclamation mark, and then open brackets, open quotes, hello Rust. This print with the exclamation mark is what we call in Rust the macro. And I'm not going to explain much of what a macro is right now, but let's just say there are some functions that we have available for us. We don't necessarily need to import any libraries. But we have a whole bunch of macros in the Rust, which we can use to do some basic commands like the printing we are doing right now. So whenever we want to access a macro, we use an exclamation mark at the end of the macro name to call it. Now this macro takes in as parameters this string. We're going to explain what a string means later. And this is just what we call a sentence, for example, in English. And in this we say hello Rust. After all of this, we end this line with a semicolon. This semicolon tells us, or tells the compiler, that we are stopping the termination of this line right here. So after all of that, the function body closes and our program is completed. With that explained, our entire function does just one thing: prints hello world. In our case, hello Rust. So what we are expecting at the end of this is we should have hello Rust presented out to us. But where do we get that? We come back here to the terminal. And by the way, throughout this course, we'll be working a lot with the terminal instead of using our fancy GUIs on Windows or Linux or Mac. So to run this on Windows, you simply type out on pressing enter. We see that we have hello Rust printed out to us exactly as we have it here. If you're running this on a Linux or Unix based machine, I think the command for running this should be, because the output of compiling main.rs should be a file just main. In the next videos, we'll be working alongside the Windows subsystem for Linux, most probably to help out with those who are using Linux. If you have any questions on running this application, or if you have any issues while working through this tutorial, please hit me up via the email I've provided below. I'm going to help you out. The next thing we'd like to look at is how we can print combinations of various strings. Maybe there's sometimes you may want to print out strings and you want to be the one to provide whatever you want to print out. And we could have them presented to you as place values and the actual strings provided after. So an example of this, we'll be printing out our names. In your case, you use your own name. We're going to have a first place value here. And we have the second place value, then exclamation mark. Now, what we're going to provide first is hello. Now, providing second is Leroy Kanye. Now, breaking this down again, we see that the first part of this macro shows that we have what we'll be printing out. The next part of it is hello, which is going to be substituted in this part of what we'll be printing out. And the next part is Kanye, which will be taking over the second part. So what we have here as the curly braces, open and close, are place values for the strings to provide after this first line. Now if we compile our program again, and we run, see that we're printing out hello Kanye. However, if we remove our second place value here and try to compile this program, we see that we have an error provided to us by Rust. Before going ahead, I'd just like to let you know that Rust is actually a very good reporter of issues. So most of the time you're going to have every issue that you have in your code presented to you clearly. So they state here that the argument has never been used, but the formatting specifier is missing, and the formatting specifier is missing. So because we do not have one of the place values here, we cannot be providing the second argument. So we need to have exactly the same number of place values as you have as arguments here. Going further, the next thing we'll be doing is trying to print various lines of text. So sometimes you may want to print hello Rust on one line, and hello error Kanye on the next line. You'll notice that while writing this, there was something I provided here, \n. What this does is it causes a line break between these two strings, or between these two lines, the hello Rust and hello error Kanye. And what we'll be expecting is these two should be printed on different lines. So if we compile that, we see hello Rust and hello error Kanye. With that said, we're going to try next to print out other things like numbers. Alright, so from here, the next thing we're doing is trying to print out numbers. So I'm going to print in my fake age. Hello, I am Kanye, and I am a certain number of years old. And behind here, write 98. So when we want to print out a number in Rust, we need to have place value stated for the number. After saying hello, I am Kanye and I am a certain number of years old, we provide the number which is going to replace this place value here. Now if we compile this and we run, we see hello, I am Kanye and I am 98 years old. If we now cancel all of this and trying to print this out just as a string on its own, try to compile this first, we receive an error. you might be missing a string literal to format with. Rust specifies that we need to provide only string literals in this macro. The only way to pass a number into this macro is to provide them as string literals. How we can do that is only by providing this before showing the number. If we now compile our application, hello, I am Errol Kanye, 98 years old, 20. Now we may also want to print on different lines for each macro. As you can see here, this was just appended to the previous line, and this is not what we want. The way we can do that is by modifying this to using println, which prints this on an individual line. We can also print this on its own line by changing this to ln. And when we compile, hello, I am Errol Kanye and I'm 98 years old, 20. So that said, we have been able to print hello Rust, we've been able to print some few strings in Rust, and we're able to print numbers. The new things we have learned from here is how to print on the terminal, and also how to format strings and how to format numbers basically in Rust using the println macro. Thank you very much for watching, guys. See you in the next video.